Welcome back to the channel and to a beautiful sunny day in Kendall.
Gorgeous.
It does feel today like spring is on its way. So we're stood near our house at High Tenterville in Kendall, and today's video we're going to try and explain as well as we can why we downsized and relocated to Kendall, a little bit about the house we chose, and the reasons for that, and then talk through why we decided to go for a holiday let rather than residential let, and how that supports us whilst we're travelling for 9 months of the year, and then give you a brief oversight of from our perspective, the benefits and the downsides of using our house or home, because it is our home, as a holiday let. I'm just going to quickly spin you around so you can see the location where we live. We think it's stunning on a day like this. It certainly is. And then we're going to quickly wander down into Kendall to give you a quick tour of our lovely town. So this is known as High Tenterville, which is on the west side of the town centre. Mostly very traditional terraced housing, and our property is just over there in that little courtyard development. So welcome to the tour. Just very briefly outside. It's a beautiful day in Kendall. We're so lucky today. The weather is gorgeous. We live in this very little small courtyard development, which is about 5-minute walk town centre, and then you walk over the green there, and it's a 5-minute walk up onto the fells. So it's a perfect place, really, we think. Outside we've had fitted a car charging point. And if you come into the property, it's an upside down house, so it is unusual. There's Isla. I'll show you probably one bedroom. There are 3 bedrooms in the property, but we'll just show you one. This is the downstairs hall, with obviously what we've put in is a fire action notice and a welcome folder. There's smoke detection throughout the property, in all the bedrooms and all the circulation areas. This is an example of the bedrooms. This is a double we've done throughout the property. As you'll find or see as we go, we've decorated it all in a neutral colour, to make sure it sort of all blends together, and for us simple. A double bed in here which is splittable so it can be 2 singles. We were told that was probably a requirement for properties like this. Wardrobe is in that room there, or that behind that door there, and we've also got a linen store in here which is lockable, so the cleaner has access to linen. And we will talk in a bit more detail about the cost of linen. Very expensive, something not to be overlooked if you're considering doing a holiday let. So through into the downstairs hallway, we've refitted both the bathrooms. So this one did used to have a bath in it, but we've put in a large walk-in shower, and obviously sink and toilet, which is there. I think you can see that. Draw back a bit. Yep. So we thought, again, these are standard. The bathroom is exactly the same, but for us it was just a case of getting to a good standard that people would be happy with. Any cupboard that we've got in the house that's not used by guests, we lock. So there's one under the stairs there, and that's locked. So there's 3 bedrooms down here, and if we go up the stairs, we might bump into Kerry as we're going. We have a landing here, again with smoke detection. As you can tell, it's all decorated neutrally. And one thing, of course, you have to remember is no personal stuff. And there is, there's Kerry. There's no personal stuff in the house at all. So it doesn't, when you come back, feel like it's your home, really. That's one of the points we're going to make, or we will make to you. Front room, we had a gas fire fitted. We did think about a wood burner, but we thought that might get a little bit difficult with guests taking wood up the stairs and there being ash and embers and all sorts of stuff. So we decided not to go for that and go for a gas. Large room, no garden to the property to speak of, but there is an outside balcony where people can enjoy, when the weather's good, a drink of wine. Excuse the bike there. We've squeezed that in for a bit of training whilst we're here. And then there's a dining room which is here again, all decorated neutrally, if neutrally is the right word, and through to the kitchen. Again, you have to excuse that we've got quite a bit of stuff out at the moment because we're obviously using it, but usually this worktop will be completely clear, and we've put in here as much stuff as we think would be useful for people, because we've been to lots of holiday lets where there's been very little. So we've fitted it out. We actually decided to buy second-hand Denby gear, didn't we? So I don't know if I can really show that, Kes, but I'll try.
Just got loads of
Yeah. So yes, it's we think it's been kitted out well, and everybody who's commented on say it has as well. So again, neutral. We didn't refit the kitchen. It's a reasonable standard, so we didn't think it was any necessary to refit it now. Our assistant is going bananas and opening every cupboard there is known to man. Well done. In here I put a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher. Arguably not required, but I decided I'll put them in. There is a utility room which we fitted out, and we also fitted a new boiler. Again, gas for simplicity. So we obviously thought when we came in this room was it wasn't brilliant, so we fitted it out. A lot of places don't have utility rooms, but we've got one. And then we'll show you the worst of worst rooms, and this is the practicalities of letting out your home. Is we needed something to store some of our stuff, so we have a lockable room which was the study. We haven't decorated this room, and as you can see, it's just jam-packed full of our stuff, so that at least we've got somewhere to put it. And obviously the cleaner also uses this. We put some of our spare cutlery, crockery, cleaning products in here as well. But this is the reality of renting your home out at a holiday let. If you want to keep some stuff here and not pay for storage, you have to use one of your rooms to do so, which is what...
You're very pensive, aren't you, this morning? I don't know why you're so pensive, but you are. Good morning.
Morning.
I hope you enjoyed the little tour of both our home and Kendall. And now we're going to kind of sit down and discuss some of the elements that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. I think to start with, we're just going to quickly touch on the issue of downsizing. And for us, we lived in a house in High Newton, which is near Cartmel, at a lovely house called Greenside.
Yes, it was quite large.
It was.
The garden was massive.
Yeah, well, we looked for a house for a long time, didn't we? And we struggled to find something. We found that and didn't meet everything we wanted, but it was a good house. But we spent the best part of 3 years renovating it.
Yeah, at least 3
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
And we then sat down after renovating and doing all that hard work and thinking to ourselves, is this really what we want? Just to put that into context, I lost my brother during that period, and we were sort of kind of considering what it was we wanted out of our retirement, and I think travel was one of the big things we wanted.
Yes, and we had so much to do with the house and the garden, the upkeep of the garden.
Well, not only that,
quite a tie.
Yeah, we had a mortgage on the house, and we spent a lot of money doing it up. So we ultimately decided we would sell up. We sold up in 2023, I think. It was 2023, wasn't it?
No, but was it?
I think it might have been that, or 2022. It could have been 2022. And then decided to relocate to Kendall. So we looked for a property in Kendall, found this, which is quite quirky. I was going to say strange, but probably quirky is a better description.
It's totally different to what we had before.
Upside down house. It has no garden. So we basically bought this originally as a lock up and leave. So we could get a van, travel around, leave this unoccupied, and then you come back from time to time to spend time here. And we had that thought for quite some time. Did some work to the house, so I have to refer to my notes because we've got quite a lot to talk about. And then decided, well, why don't we let it out? So we spent quite a lot of money doing up the bathrooms, windows, put a new fire in, a new boiler, and talked about whether we rent it out as a residential let or a holiday let.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. And why did we decide to go as a holiday let?
Because we looked into renting it out, and we thought that, well, the main reason was that we'd have to leave the house. We'll take everything out, leave the house, and we couldn't get back into the house until the people left. So we couldn't come back to the house within the year that we were away, and we thought that we might want to do that, as in come back to live for a few days or weeks.
So it didn't give us it gave us no flexibility.
Yeah.
There was the issues also about tenancy rights. We were a bit concerned that once we let it out, it may be let out for a long time without us being able to get back in. And we were also concerned a little bit about wear and tear, weren't we? So we then decided we would go and rent it out as a holiday let. And one of the first issues around that, of course, is you then need to find an agent. And we looked at 3 agents here. 2 were local, 1 was a national.
Yes.
And we immediately realised, I mean, this is the owner's agreement that we've got with our current agent, and there's an awful lot of detail that you need to look through and read. And we realised with 2 of those agents that we were going to be tied in and not have very much flexibility at all, which was one of the reasons we wanted to do it in the
come
first
back
place.
to the house through the year that we were
Absolutely.
away.
So I can't quite remember, but it was restrictive, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So it was you had a number of weeks in the summertime and a few more weeks in the winter.
And then you had to have 6 months notice
That's
if you
right,
wanted to
yeah.
take your
Yeah.
house back permanently.
And for us, that really wasn't going to work, was it?
No, it just didn't give.
We felt like we were just handing over our house, and we now had no say basically over when we could use it. So we then came across the third agent was an agent down in Kendall itself, and we will mention them because they've been superb, and that's Herdwick Cottages. And they came up and had a look round, thought it would rent really well, but then also threw in the bombshell that actually you can rent it for as long or as little time as you like.
Yes.
And you can have as much flexibility as long as you plan it within the year.
And we only had to give them 3 months' notice
Yeah.
to get our house back.
So for us, them also being local, having local connections with tradesmen if we had any problems with the house, it just kind of made sense. And we kind of hit it off with them straight away. Really friendly team, great to deal with. And during the year, we've had no issues at all that I can think of. Yes, we still have to sign up to the owner's agreement, but it's not onerous. It enables us to rent the house out for 3 months block in winter, so January, February, March, when we really don't want to travel that much because the weather in the UK is pretty grim. And it works. It really, really works for us. So we're very happy with it. But there are some things you need to remember and reflect on if you decide to go for a holiday let, and one of them is really around compliance. And it's not, you can't just say to yourself, oh, I'm going to let out my house as a holiday let. I mean, it's very similar with residential letting. There are some requirements you've got to go through with regards to getting it to a standard, and one of those is something that's reasonably close to my mind, close to me, is the Home Office guidance that's here to make your small paying guest accommodation safe from fire. So that's one issue. And briefly to summarise, you need to do a fire risk assessment, and from that fire risk assessment you then need to look at the guidance to see what you need to put into your property. But in simple terms, smoke detection throughout the property is a must, and it should really be hardwired. Certainly after 2 or 3 years of you operating, it should be hardwired. Ours currently is partially hardwired and partially battery operated. I'm comfortable with that, having done the fire risk assessment myself. You need to have substantial doors on your living doors. Living doors, what does that mean?
Inside,
Yes,
internal
interior
doors.
Or fire doors, depending on the risk. And we've put in what we would describe as substantial doors. I have some issues around self-closing and fire doors, but we don't need to go into that. Obviously, you need fire action notices, you need emergency lighting of some description, and you also need thumb lock turns on your exterior means of escape. We've done all that, but don't forget that you have to. And there's also compliance around safety certificates for your gas appliances and for your electrical installation, and there's PAT testing as well to consider. So there's a lot to think about before you even get to a point of renting out. And the agent will require sight of all those things to make sure that they've covered their own backside, to be fair. Yeah, which is absolutely understandable. So we did say we would go through some of the costs associated with setting up, and some of those are what we've already talked about fire compliance, but I'll just mention the cost of doing that in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to hand over to the Queen of Linen, Kerry, who spent months researching this.
Well, I didn't realise at the start how much you needed to buy. We've got 3 bedrooms, so we've got 1 king size bed, 1 king size bed that converts into 2 singles if needed, and then 2 single beds. So at the most you can have 6 people to stay at once. So on the beds then, we've had to buy the mattress. We've bought mattress toppers, then we've bought mattress protectors, then we've got quilts with a duvet with duvet protectors, pillows, which is 2 pillows per person, and then you've got to have pillow protectors on top of that, even before you've even bought the actual bed linen. So you need pillowcases, duvet covers and bed sheets. You need 3 sets of those each, because 1 is on the bed, 1 in the wash and 1 ready to go out onto the bed. And then you need to buy towels, which are bath towels and hand towels. So that's like 18 towels that you need to buy, as in bath towels, 18 hand towels. It was just the amount, I think, that you needed. All were in white, and that all came to about £1,500, because you wanted to get the quality of the fabrics as well. You didn't want to just get really cheap ones.
Yes, and you went into great detail and researched a lot, didn't you? But we were quite shocked about the amount of money it cost to set up just with linen.
Yes.
It was expensive. So don't go into this either thinking that you're going to make huge amounts of money if you go down the route that we've gone
So
down.
I suppose the linen, you've got it for life.
Great. What are we going to do with it if we don't use it as a rental? We'll never outlive it, will we?
No.
No. So £1,500 you said for linen and towels and all the bedding. Additional cost of that, don't forget this, management fees for a fully managed service is 15% of the income. So it's already starting to add up. Cleaning fees, which is a shocker, an absolute shocker. We've got really good cleaners, by the way. We've got to say, but they're brilliant. But it comes up to £5,550 per annum.
But that's all the laundering of all the linen
It's
towels
both,
and everything.
But we didn't realise, and it's taken us a long time to realise, that most of the people who rent out our house rent it out for 3 or 4 days. So every 3 or 4 days you've got a cleaning fee. It will be much better if we rented out for weeks or 2 weeks, but that's not how we found it works. So the cleaning fees are quite significant. We also provide a welcome pack, and that's £338 per annum.
Yeah, for everybody that stays. Yeah.
Yep. We did buy some furniture. We had to buy beds and another settee, and that was £2,000. Just so that you're aware, the boiler and fire service and certification was 253. Smoke detector fitting was 805, and that included an electrical test certificate. Door furniture, and that's the thumb turns on the outside doors and all the locks we place on the doors that we don't want people to get access to, 320. So, and one other that we don't forget about is insurance, contents and building insurance and liability insurance. That was £660.
And even though I haven't got a price for this, we've got the landlord PASC. It's the PASC
membership.
Limited, professional association.
It's not a huge amount. It's about £50. If you don't need to do that, to be fair. And also, what you've got to also consider in all your cost settings is we still pay for all the utilities and the council tax. So I think we're hopefully you're getting an understanding that it's not going to make you a fortune if you manage it through an agency. It provides us with an income stream, but we're not like staying in. Well, we're not anyway, because we don't stay in hotels because you live in a van. But we don't really treat ourselves. I guess for us it's more about saving a bit of money for what we do next, perhaps, rather than spending loads.
And having somebody to maintain and look after your house, so it's not just left.
Which is really important, and we're not reliant on the income from the house. It's a nice to have, but we're not reliant on it. So I think if you're going to go down this route, certainly do your homework around finances, because it is quite expensive. I think if you did a residential let, you'd make more money, definitely, because all the utility bills and council tax are paid for. But what you don't have is the flexibility, and you don't really know what's going on in your property. We're fortunate enough, because we've got a good agent and it's cleaned regularly, is we would pick up, or they would pick up any problems with the property early on, so they don't get worse and worse and worse. We can rectify them, and to be fair, we haven't really had any issues, have we?
No.
It's gone pretty well.
That's why we're doing it again this year.
Yes,
we're going away and renting it out.
So for us, as we said, the benefits really are around the house being occupied, so it's maintained. There is an income stream, but we're not making a fortune by any means. It gives us the flexibility, and I know it's a bit odd, but what I will say is it's enabled us to get rid of our car. So we haven't got the ongoing annual costs of the car because we don't need it. When we're here for the 3 months, we've got a local agreement with a company, so we just rent a car, and it's far cheaper than having a car for the year. Downsides, and there are some, aren't there?
I know, I'm just trying to think. There's nothing really significant as a downside.
No, I guess one that and it hasn't happened to us, but there is the potential that doing this would upset your neighbours. We when we lived here, the house next door was a holiday let. That's now changed hands, but I always felt a bit uncomfortable about it. So I can imagine neighbours do as well. We did inform everybody before we left.
It didn't ever cause us an issue, did it?
No. Most of the time, it was brilliant. There was no problems at all. But we did feel duty bound to let all our neighbours know. So they were fully aware, and they had the contact details of both the agent and ourselves if there were any issues. And we weren't contacting for the whole 9 months. And I think another one that perhaps we didn't think about too much is the house generally, for me anyway, I don't know about you, doesn't really feel so much as a home anymore, as somewhere it's just somewhere we come to stay for 3 months.
Yeah, well, as we packed all our stuff away in boxes, our personal stuff, over the 3 months, it's not worth getting everything out because I don't want to be clambering around in the boxes and then repacking them all.
Yeah.
So I've just left it all packed up. So we just grab what we want from the room, and
we do, and there's no personal effects in the house at all.
No.
There can't be, obviously, because it's a rental. So it does feel it feels nice, but it doesn't feel perhaps like a home for us. And of course, we're only here for 3 months, and then we go again.
Well, you're already planning your next trip, so
yes, and there is an element of wear and tear. Probably not as bad as residential letting, but there is an element of wear and tear. And we have noticed a few things that have got some minor damage to them, nothing major. And we need to do a bit of touching up, don't we?
Yeah, so we're using this time just to spruce the house up a bit more.
Yeah, so we've got a month, and now the weather's beginning to improve a little bit. It gives us the opportunity to go outside particularly, and just do a few things. So I hope we've been clear in that and explained how it is for us and how it works for us. It may not and probably won't work for a lot of people. I think the thought of people letting their home out as a holiday let would horrify them. But for us, we're not particularly attached to this property. We always bought it with the intent of doing something like that to it. It's not too much of an issue, is it?
No.
And it's worked. It has worked. And the work has been taken by the agent. So it's for us, we've been able to travel without really being that stressed. To be fair, for the first 4 weeks or so, I was quite worried about it.
Yes.
But that's gone now, and I'm quite happy about it. So I guess in conclusion, it's been successful for us. May not be for everybody. It won't make you rich, but it gives us an income stream. And we're happy that come the end of March, when we set off again on our travels, that it's in good hands, we'll be well treated, and we can relax and not think about it, really.
Yeah, true.
Hopefully that's been useful. If you've got any questions about anything around the subject, then just let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe so we can build a channel to something amazing. We're not too worried about that, but it's nice to hear from people and if they enjoy the video. And we'll see you in the next one. Well done.